Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. How are we today? I hope we have all been well. We're going to go live with the amazing Michelle today, also known as Zombelle on Instagram, and we're just going to be talking about life in general. She's been quite the inspiration for me. She's a very, very powerful woman. She's a lot stronger than she thinks she is. And I find her so inspiring because, just like me, she works in the medical profession. Well, I used to work in the medical profession. She works in the health profession in Las Vegas. And I've always been very interested in that city in general. And she's also a vegan, so I want to talk to her about her diet. I'm also very curious about a lot of the things that she does in her spare time because she's been going through a lot of issues, and if she wishes to talk about them, this is what this platform's for. So I'm going to wait for her to join this live. And as soon as she does, I'm going to be so excited. Hello, Stephanie. How are you? I cannot wait to see you tomorrow. It's going to be exciting to see you, even though it's going to be brief. It'll be great. You might actually find this story very, 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 very empowering because this woman's been through a lot of very similar things that we have both been through. And this is why I find her story to be so empowering. So I'm going to make a comment now and get her to join us. And once she's joined us on the stream, I will go live with her. There we go. Just made mention of you now. Now just gotta wait for you to join. But while I'm waiting, I might as well get some business out in the air for you all. I have very recently just started selling out of an eBay store. I will link that to this afterwards. I'll put it back into my story for all who haven't been following me and all who have been following me so that you can find my purchasable goods. I'll be putting a whole bunch of jewelry up this week. I've got another 10 pieces to go onto the store this week. And I will also most likely have a besom by the end of next week available and potentially a quarterstaff as well. But I'm not going to rush myself, but I will get as much as I can done, but I will be commissioning at least 10 pieces of jewelry a week. So there will be constantly new things popping in and out of the store. And these will be available for everybody internationally and in Australia as well. There we go. Now the lovely Michelle has joined us. I'm just going to send an invitation through to you now. All you've got to do is just join. And I do hope that that's worked. I feel like my internet is a little delayed this morning. I'll find that out. Yeah. Hello, how are you? Nope, nope. I think it's dropped out. Let me just move my modem for 1 second. I think that may be the issue. Right. There we go. That should be working now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, my headphones aren't working again, and I don't know why this happens. It is so good to finally be sharing space with you. I've been following you for almost a year now, and your stories and everything are so inspirational. Even if you don't feel like it, you are an incredibly powerful woman, and that's why I've got you here on these couch talks with me because I'm only interviewing the people that really inspire me and show me great strength. Hey, Adam. So
Well,
how
thank you.
have you been tonight? How have you been tonight? I'm guessing you were at work earlier today because you are a shift worker?
Actually, I work weekends. I work Friday through Sunday,
Yep.
12 hours a day. So today was my day off and I got a lot of sleep.
Well, that's brilliant, especially with what you do, because correct me if I'm wrong, you're in healthcare.
Yes, I work at a
Yeah.
psychiatric facility in the state of,
Pediatric.
yeah, psychiatric.
Oh, psychiatric. Sorry, I thought you said pediatrics for a second. I'm
No.
actually just going to take this out so I can hear you properly because they just don't want to work at all.
Yeah,
This
so
is
I work.
actually my second live that these haven't wanted to work. But so working in a psychiatric ward, what's that like? Because that would be very, very challenging, especially with what you're going through at the moment. Like we'll go into that later in this, but how does that affect you and what's it like working in a psychiatric ward?
So currently I'm working on the ward for people who are trying to overcome their addictions with alcohol or other substances like
Yeah.
opiates, methamphetamines. Opiates is a big thing out here right now. But the
Being an ex-addict myself off of like speed and that, this is such an important job role that you do, and this is why I find you so inspiring because I've had my battles with addictions, and the fact that you work in those wards is incredible. Like, what does it entail?
It's a lot of assessment of the patients because a lot of people don't know if you are a binge drinker or an alcoholic and then you stop that alcohol, you are prone to have seizures and it's emergent. Like we don't want you dying on us. So we
That's true. So
medicate.
explain this in more depth. Like, so when they stop alcohol and stuff like that, I know when I stopped meth and smoking meth, like I was very agitated, very stressed all the time. I know that I got heart palpitations, but you could probably explain this a lot more in detail, especially with the alcohol, especially with the meth. Like, I want to hear all of it.
I will try. So with coming off of meth, there's no treatment other than hydration and food and
Hmm.
sleep. That's the main thing. When you're
Yeah.
coming, when you've been on a binge drinking episode and then you take that alcohol away, the I can't get into detail on the physiological level completely, but basically you are at risk for seizures because something with the neurotransmitters firing a
Could that
certain
be
way.
due to the depressant qualities of the alcohol actually not stimulating the brain quality properly?
Most likely. But what we're doing is basically feeding these patients what are called benzodiazepines.
Yeah. So what are they?
So those are like you have Xanax, Ativan, Valium. That's the class that all those drugs
Yep.
fall under. We use Valium at our hospital, and it's a safe way to prevent those seizures from occurring. And we assess basically their vital signs every couple of hours for the first
Yep.
24. And you see a trend of people's blood pressure going up and
Yep.
they start to shake, like having
And so
tremors.
that's known as alcohol tremors, isn't it? Where
Yes,
they start to do this, they can't physically control their hands, they can't eat, they can't drink, and it can go, if, correct me if I'm wrong, throughout the entire body.
basically. Yeah. And there's some people who fake their tremors because they want the Valium.
And what do you do in those situations?
I give them a lower dose, or I just, you know, you use
So
your
like the placebo.
nursing judgment,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
If they're having other symptoms, there's like a scale we go through.
So
It's called a
explain the
TS.
scale to me because I know that your healthcare in America is very, very different to the healthcare here in Australia. Because when I went through rehab, I didn't get a lot of that sort of stuff. I was pretty much just cut straight, stone cold sober, put into therapy. But then again, I wasn't coming off of alcohol. Like you said, the only treatment for meth is hydration. So it's a lot easier for that. So it was literally sit down, counseling for a week, going through just seminars and then I was out.
Yeah. So we assess for alcohol, we're checking to see if you're having any sort of headache, any anxiety, restlessness,
Yep.
tremors, to see if you're having any sort of auditory, visual, or tactile feeling, any kind of
Yep.
hallucinations. And basically, why we're checking for that is there's something called the DTs, which people mistakenly think DTs are the tremors. It's called
Yep.
delirium tremens. Delirium tremens is actually when you're getting to the bad point. You're having hallucinations, you're so out of it, and you're shaking, of course. But that's like rare cases. If we're giving you medication, you shouldn't get into that point.
No. And
But
so how long does this wean off process take?
it takes about 5 days. Yeah.
That's amazing. And see, the fact that you do that sort of work's absolutely incredible. But then also in this line of work, and this is something that's happened to you a few times, and I hope that you don't mind me mentioning it, but scabies, like that is such a problem that you've had to deal with. And in Australia, that is not an issue. Like we have such quarantine conditions for that. Why does that not happen where you are?
Yeah, well, it's part of the process of the patient coming in through another ward, and
Yep.
they're not automatically checked there. The skin assessment, as we call it, is done on the unit. So if we have nurses who don't know what these things look like on a patient's skin because it's somewhat rare to see, then they just pass through and they're not placed through the right precautions.
And they probably just put it down to like severe dermatitis or eczema and stuff like that.
Yeah, or ant bites. I slept in an ant field. And this population is mainly homeless, you know?
Yeah.
So it is a common thing out here. And so that happens. And I've
That's
already,
true, because in Las Vegas, it's technically a desert, isn't it? So you would have a lot of ants.
yeah. We do have a lot of ants, but ant bites don't look like scabies.
No, ant bites look like mosquito bites. They're generally welty. They're definitely not epidermal. Well, they're definitely an epidermal, but they're not scaly. And
Yeah.
that's a big thing on scabies. Like it looks like scales.
And I've been a nurse for 10 years, and I moved out here 2 years ago from California. And 2 years ago was the first time I ever got scabies from working in a hospital setting.
That
And I've
would have been quite the adjustment for you, because you would have been like, how?
yeah. And it actually happened from a patient who nobody bothered to tell me had it. And there was no proper signage outside of his room, like contact precaution or something.
So there was no PPE warnings, there was no vest warnings,
This
nothing like
isn't at
that.
the hospital I'm currently working at. It was another facility. And they
Yeah.
went as far as to tell me that they wouldn't pay me for the days I had to take off.
I do remember you mentioning that, and I was absolutely shocked because in America, with your days off, you don't ever get paid for them, and you have very minimal holiday leave too. Correct me if I'm wrong. You pretty much get worked to the bone with very little sick leave, holiday. Do you even get sick leave? Because I know a lot of jobs over there don't.
Currently, in this hospital I work at, I do not get sick leave. I have to use my own paid time off, which we accrue about 6 hours per pay period every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So if you get sick,
That would add up quickly, but at the same time, when you get sick, that can sometimes go for a week, especially in the instances of scabies. It can take up to a week for treatment.
yeah. And yeah, I actually contracted COVID from a patient once again. And it was my first time, and I think it was in May, but I was off of work for almost 2 weeks. I drained my PTO. You know, there's no
And then
sick
when
leave.
you drain that, you've got no leave for anything. So you just essentially, once you recover, you go straight back to work, and there's no such thing as a holiday.
No. And we barely even get paid for holidays.
Do you
There's
even actually get holiday pay, or is there like a system in play for that?
only to the holidays they consider holidays.
Which would be, I'm guessing,
It's
Christmas and stuff like that?
only Christmas Day and New Year's Day, not the eves for some
So
reason.
that's 2 days a year that you actually get holidays.
Yeah, and like 4th of July. But that's
Not
not,
even Easter?
no.
Oh my God. So here in Australia, we get Easter, we get the Queen's birthday, we get New Year's, we get New Year's Day, like we get Christmas, Christmas Eve. We have, if it's a public holiday, it's generally a holiday.
It wasn't like this in California. The laws, I guess, are different out here.
I was
And
just about to ask that. Like, what is the difference between working in California in the psychiatrics and as a nurse to working in Las Vegas?
so ultimately, there is not a difference, but I did feel safer in California
Yeah.
for some reason. It just felt more like there was more unity between the staff, and you knew that
You
people,
felt more looked after, I'm guessing.
huh?
Much more looked after, much more cared for.
Yeah, it was safer on the unit. You just felt like, your staff had your back.
Yeah.
And not to
Um,
say that doesn't, it depends who I'm working with. Let's just
yeah,
put it.
absolutely, absolutely. So another question that I've got then is, so obviously in Las Vegas, here in Australia, we have this image that the city never sleeps. And obviously, as you're saying, you work in the psychiatrics and working with a lot of rehab patients and stuff like that. Is it dangerous in California working with those sort of patients, or is it more dangerous in Vegas working with those patients?
I feel like it might be more dangerous out here in Vegas. Everything is more accessible. Everything is in excess. Alcohol, everything. Like in California, you can't buy alcohol from the stores between 2 and 6, 7 a.m. Over here, it's
Oh,
a
really?
24-hour business out here. And
In
there's,
Australia, it's 24 hours too in some places, and the servos go till midnight.
yeah, but it's messy. And there's it's just kind of scary out here. A lot of drunk driving, a lot of accidents on the way to work.
I figured that would be the case because it's like the city that never sleeps. It's constant parties, constant just drugs, sex, rock and roll.
I mean, I don't involve myself in that because I am, currently a little over 18 months sober. Um,
And congratulations for that.
Thank you. But yeah, I mean, our patients can be super entitled, which is another thing.
No,
They
no, no, no doubt because they're used to a city where they get everything, and they come in and they're like, "I want this," and you're like, "I can't give you that."
yeah. They're not all entitled, but some of them can be. And it's just, you're not only dealing with alcoholism and different substance abuse, there's also underlying psychiatric issues and traumas
Yeah.
that other people, are facing. And there's a reason we work in psychiatric nursing. We've probably gone through things.
What is your reasoning for doing that? Actually, like, I would love to know that. Like, what drew you to psychiatric? Like,
So,
obviously, you're patient in that, but continue.
so I ultimately got into nursing because when I was younger, I went through um, a lot of hard times myself. I was never clinically diagnosed at that age, but I believe I suffered from depression from age 12
Yeah.
and a lot of anxiety and depression. And I attempted to speak to my parents regarding it, but it was very like, nope, it's just a phase, you'll be fine, sweep it under the rug. And then it escalated. And I felt like I didn't get the help that I needed. So I wanted to become a nurse to help others in need.
Yeah.
And that's where that came.
And going into that as well, is that why, as you got older as well, I know that was definitely issues for me going into my substance abuse. Was that what went into your substance abuse story? Is that why you fell down that path?
Most likely. 100%, yeah.
I'd love to hear your story about that if you're willing to share. Like, obviously, you're, as you said, 18 months sober. I'm about 3 weeks completely sober myself from marijuana. I've been a couple years sober from meth, but I would love to hear your story. And I'm sure everyone else here would.
So I don't want to get too much into detail, but
Don't have
basically,
to.
alcohol was my biggest thing. So yeah, I mean, I made the decision to stop drinking, 18 months ago, and it's
Yep.
been quite a journey. It wasn't just alcohol that was, I don't know, my substance of choice. Food has been a big,
Food is a big one.
yes.
And a lot of people don't take that one into consideration at all.
I was in March 2020. I weighed 233 pounds. I was at the heaviest of
So I'm
weight.
trying to convert that into kilos because we don't use pounds here in
So
Australia.
what is that? 230 divided by 2.2.
That's about 110?
I get.
No.
I don't have a calculator on it.
I have one here. I have one here. Let's find out. Because so what did you say it was?
233 divided by
233. 2.2. So 105.9 kilos you were.
yes. And
So that's a good about 40 kilos heavier than I am.
yeah. So that's where I was at in March. And that's when I stopped drinking in February. And I said, you know what? It's time to I need to change my whole life around. I'm tired of looking in the mirror and hating what I'm looking at. Like, I need to
And I love seeing your inspirational gym stories, constantly jumping on that treadmill, showing us how fast you're going, how many kilometers you've done. Truly inspiring.
I mean, I'm trying to keep pushing myself, and I don't see it as me being an inspiration, but people are messaging me and telling me I am. And it's like, well, I'm happy that I can be, because
Absolutely. And that's the great thing. And now you're here and you get to share that as well. You get to be that inspiration, and this will always be saved in your stories as well as mine for people to rewatch.
yeah.
But what are your benchmark goals in the gym?
So right now I'm just focused on gaining more muscle and losing the fat, when the thing is that I had lost a lot of weight in a quick amount of time. So now there's things about like loose skin and stuff that I need to, now there's other obstacles.
Yeah.
It's not that bad, but in my eye, coming from someone who has body image issues and body dysmorphia, like I'm just trying to learn to love myself ultimately.
And that can be such a hard challenge.
Yeah.
But
Well,
that's where body modifications come in.
I don't want to. I don't want to do anything, surgical or under the knife or under the needle.
So that's not an option then? Okay, that's brilliant. I love that for you because I have a few friends, like my lovely friend Veronica that was on here before. She suffers from some body dysmorphia issues herself, but she actually went under the knife to do a couple of her surgeries to make herself feel better. And in the end, she had them all reversed because she came to the conclusion that you came to.
Yeah.
That it wasn't worth it.
Yeah. And I have nothing against body modifications. But for me, I just don't see that as something I want to do.
No. And then that's where you can get the good body modifications like piercings and tattoos.
I was about to go into that. So where my piercings and tattoos came from, it actually stems from my depression. I used to be a cutter back in the day, in my early teens. And I have many scars from that. And it started off as wanting to cover up the scars on my arms with the tattoos because what a shame. But it's not. I love my scars.
It's a great story as well because you can use that like you are right now to empower people because I know a lot of people that used to cut. I myself did cut and I've still got some of the scars myself, but I haven't covered mine. But I probably will eventually. Yeah. But I'd love to see how you've incorporated your designs into your scars, like if you wanted to show everybody, because I know a lot of people do that.
Yeah. Well, it went from trying to cover them up to all of a sudden when I was feeling emotional distress or pain or, anything like
Yeah.
that would be, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go get a tattoo because I like the pain of the tattoos and it
It
helps.
is a very, very good pain. Having quite a few tattoos myself, it's not gonna lie, very thrilling to sit down under the needle.
And so after a while, I didn't have to cut myself anymore. It was just get a
So how many
tattoo.
tattoos do you have?
I think I am close to, I don't know, I lost count. I think I'm like in the 50s.
Oh wow, I've only got 13. I feel so naked.
I'm on a mission to cover my right leg currently, but it's
So
a lot of,
what's the plan with it?
I'm just trying to get stuff that's like, that just speaks to me, you know?
Because I
Um,
do love your octopus piece that you've got here. It is by
oh,
far one of my
that's
favorites.
not an octopus. So that is a goat head for the Capricorn.
Oh, I've
And
always
then
seen it
there's
kind of like,
snakes.
oh my God,
Yeah. And it's the sun and the moon.
that is beautiful. Going into Capricorn,
Yes.
how do you perceive yourself as a Capricorn? Being a Capricorn myself, love that.
I love being a Capricorn. I definitely feel it. I am so work driven. I'm like, I'm pretty serious as a person. Like when it comes to finances and whatever, like I am a go-getter. I have a goal.
I'm very much the same, which is why I've started selling out of my aunt's shop front this week because I'm like, nah, I need money. I need to get to work.
And it's not even like about materialism. It's just about security and
Yeah,
because I don't wear like designer clothing and whatever. I could if I
that's
wanted
what I've
to.
shopped before.
Yeah. But tattoos, sure. People are like, oh, aren't they expensive? I mean, they can be, but clothing is more expensive if you're going to
Oh,
design.
yeah, clothing is so more expensive. Like I've got 13 tattoos, but I think entirety of that's cost me about 2 grand.
Yeah. And it's an investment in yourself because it's going to be
It
there.
is, and it's going to be there forever. And the best part was I got to design all of mine. Did you actually work on the designs yourself, or do you have a specific artist that you work with, or do you just jump between stores?
I was jumping between stores. I mean, from California to over here, and then I look for some of my art online, and then some of the pieces are custom. So,
Yeah.
whole variation of things.
Love custom pieces because they're always some of the best stories. I've designed a few tattoos myself. My sister's got one on the back of her neck. I've got a couple of other friends who have them tattooed on themselves as well. And being able to help someone design a tattoo and design the story behind it, which no doubt your custom pieces probably have a lot of story behind them.
Yeah, they do.
I'd love to hear some of them.
Most of my tattoos, I guess people think they're like dark, but for a reason. I mean,
Look, they are a little gothic, but I absolutely
this is
love
a
that though.
custom piece on my,
Oh wow, that's a grim.
yeah. And then it has like a little graveyard on the bottom. And originally my tattoo artist and I thought of putting names in the tombstones
Yep.
of like people I've lost or like the animals I've lost. But then I don't know why I opted out of that. I was like,
Probably because they would fill up too quickly because life moves very quickly.
yeah. And the start of this week the start of this week during the weekend while I was working, I was starting to get like, I don't know, emotionally just disrupted. And then today I realized the reason why I'm feeling like this, like something in the back of my mind was just lurking, bothering me. I don't know if you noticed my story. So I lost my uncle.
I did. I saw that.
His anniversary of his death was basically on the 8th, and I like had missed that. like remembering it, but it's like my body remembered. But
Your brain's like, you've forgotten something, and now you're upset, and then a couple of days later you go, oh, now I am upset. Now, because I've remembered that, I am upset, but I'm not upset now because I have remembered that.
yeah, yeah. And that was a hard situation in my life too. That's the first person I've like cared for that I lost.
Yeah.
And he died when I was nearing the end of nursing school. So I was on a vacation from school, and in a week we were going to start our last semester. And
Yeah.
that last semester was basically all intensive care nursing and the emergency room. So everyone's on a ventilator and such. And
So
that's
that would have been very, very hard for you having him passing away at the same time while going through all of that.
yeah. Well, he passed, he was hooked up to a ventilator prior to him dying. I mean, he was already pronounced brain dead
Yeah.
when he was brought to the hospital, and they had him ventilated for 3 days. But so every patient of mine was a reminder of my uncle. Everyone was on a vent. It was a very difficult time, but I like persevered through that, and I got through it. I don't even know how.
This shows the strength, and this is why I wanted to speak to you, because you are so much stronger than you actually think you are. And going through all of that as well, all of the problems that you have in work, you've also been going through so many relationship issues as well, on this very, very similar scale to me. Like, life just has never stopped for you. It's just been go, 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 go. The life of a Capricorn.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been it's had its ups and downs. Mainly, I feel like I've had a lot of downs. Like the universe just says, well, we're going to test you on this, test you on that. Like there's, I feel like I've been handed a lot of bullshit.
Shit.
Yeah, but I'm not going to give up. I just
No,
keep.
and that's why you're so inspirational, because you don't give up. Like, you're like, I have my bad days. I'll be back in a couple of days. Sorry, guys. And then you're always back. You're always picking yourself right back up. And that is just so inspirational, especially with what I've been going through in the last couple of months' time, with all of the shit that I've been going through with my family, as you know, because we've touched base on it a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's just, for you to be able to do that makes me go, well, if you can do that, and I've got so many other friends out there that can do that, why can't I? And it helps me pick myself back up. It helps me be inspired. It helps me get out there, share these stories, and help inspire other people as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing stuff. And I'm
And
happy.
your big rocks are your pets too, aren't they?
My pets.
Yeah, your cat.
Yes.
'Cause I'm guessing there's one right next to you.
Let me see. I have a few next to me.
So how many cats do you have?
I have 10 cats.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I didn't realize you had that many.
it's a long story, but
Well, we've got all the time in the world.
I love all of them, and I just want to give them a good home, which is why the goal is to buy a larger house so that they can have the freedom of space. And people think I'm crazy. They're like, well, they're just cats. No, they're honestly like my life. I do kind of live for these creatures.
Yeah, and well, they wouldn't be able to survive without you. I currently potentially, I am going to be rehoming mine, but he has serious anger issues, serious independence issues, serious jealousy issues. I was literally drinking, I had just made myself a really hot chamomile tea, and I've taken a mouthful, and he's like, fuck you, bit me.
Oh,
Because
no.
he's like, you're giving that cup of tea more attention than me, and I've spilt the tea all over the bed, all over my partner, all over my switch, all over him, and I've had to throw everything off the bed, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, that sounds like a cat.
Yeah, he constantly attacks me, he constantly attacks my dog, he will not shut up. Like, it's just constant, you will do this for me, and I'm like, No, you are a farm cat. You have been given the best life possible. You do not tell me what to do.
I mean, shouldn't you see that as a challenge? Maybe he just needs your love.
I have seen that as a challenge, but at the same time, because I can't always be home and give him the loving that he needs, I'm going to be rehoming him to somebody who can actually look after him, keep him inside too. Because unfortunately, him being out here on the farm and having the almost 400 acres, he started to go feral.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
He's actually starting to go feral, so he needs to move back to suburbia where he can be locked in a house and loved and be the only cat in the house, the only pet. He cannot be with anybody else. He just doesn't like it. Like, legitimately, you try to show any attention to anybody but him, and he's just like, excuse me?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you found him a home that he can.
I have. But I'd love to hear your cat stories, because obviously I've got a very, very strong personality cat, but no doubt you having 10 cats, you'd have some stories.
Oh, yeah. I have a lot of personalities. So one of the main ones, her name is Lilith. Of course, I've given them all these strong names. So they their names really, they live up to them. So Lilith is like the smallest cat I have. She's maybe 6 pounds.
That's tiny.
Yeah. She's the one of the two that have not been spayed yet.
Mm-hmm.
The females. So anyways, she started doing this thing where she started peeing on their, the cat trees. Brand new.
Yeah.
These cat trees cost a lot of damn money. And I need to have a lot of them for them to be, have space. Yeah. And so it's like $100 for this cat tree. I just built it, and now she started peeing on the new ones. And so after that, I decided to place a bed in this room and sleep in here with them, and maybe giving them this set of cats more attention. Mm-hmm. She would stop. Nope. She started peeing on me in the middle of the night. I'm talking.
Oh, no, that's exactly what he does.
Yeah. And it's like she was waiting. She didn't pee all day so that she could come pee on Mom. It's just a brand new mattress. Oh. So I had to buy, it's just, you go through it. So that's one of them. I have a lot of sweetheart cats that are they just want to be cuddled and loved. Then I have one that's like, his name was given to him by my ex. His name is Death, but I call him Baby Boy because...
Well, you don't really want to be going around calling your cat Death.
Come here, Death, This is Lilith, my tiny
little evil pissy kitty.
But she's getting better. The more love I show her, I woke up from my nap and she was cuddled next to me. So that was cute.
That is adorable. That is absolutely adorable.
Hasn't peed on the bed. But, Death, but I call him Baby Boy. So one day
That's the cat, isn't he? He's the tuxedo cat, isn't he?
No, I don't have tuxedos. These are all Bombays.
Okay.
Yeah. They're all black, but they have some specks of white on them. But not like a tuxedo. But, yeah. I'd be on the phone, and I was looking at him, and he just didn't like it. But he's like one of the sweetest cats I have. Didn't like it. Scratched me. Almost got me in the eye, all the way down my nose. So I have a scar now. But I was just like, I have to go. I'm bleeding. I mean, I was profusely bleeding. But
that is so random.
So many cats, But it's okay.
So what's your... So obviously, it's because you got so many cats. What's the silliest thing that they've ever done?
They do
See,
silly
there's lots of
things.
stories.
Honestly, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but they've done some stupid things.
I remember once my old cat Isha, rest in peace. I I accidentally had turned around to get the milk in and out of the fridge, and she's gone and fallen asleep in the fridge. And I've opened it up. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And she just gets out and stretches, and she's like, "I'm fine. It was hot. Mind you, it was a 45-degree day." And she's just gone and crawled in the fridge and just gone for a nap.
Sounds like a cat. Yeah, I've been a dog mom for 16, almost 17 years. And so
Yep.
cats are definitely new to me.
I love dogs.
Look at that cutie.
Oh, I know. Such a handsome boy. He's literally just gone completely flop. He's like, "Hey, Dad, I love you."
He is adorable.
What's your baby boy? So, what's your plans for the rest of the evening then? Is there anything new in your books that you want to talk about? Any challenges coming up? Any endeavors that you want to do? Like, what's your goals moving forward?
Well, right now I'm trying to get more into witchcraft like I used to be
Yeah.
because I used to be more in tune spiritually, but since moving back home with my parents, it's like
Hmm.
there's no space for it almost because I can't, burn my herbs inside the house full of kids and my parents. They're gonna be like, "What the
Yeah.
hell are you doing in there?" you
Are you
know?
trying to summon the demon?
Yeah. And outside there's a lot of like snoopy neighbors. So
Yeah.
it became difficult to do. I do on some occasion perform ritual like I used to, but that's a goal moving forward to get more into that.
Yeah.
And
And I'm guessing that would definitely be a bigger goal once you definitely buy a house and move into that yourself and actually be able to set yourself up the space for that.
yeah, I can't wait. I really can't.
So how long realistically do you think you've got that sort of goal in play? Like obviously you're working, you're trying to get all of these steps done, you're working on yourself.
Yeah. I'm hoping within the next year or less
I
that
can't wait to see the update.
I definitely I would like to have a room just for like a library because I love books. I can't
That
get
would be a
with,
dream.
I can't get with this Kindle stuff. Like I
No,
need a book
it's
in
so
my
hard and you need to be able to smell it. Like there is nothing better than the fresh smell of a new book.
yeah. Or like the old smells of a book.
Yes, I've got some beautiful, beautiful old books. Actually, I'll show you one. This is one of my oldest treasures.
Ooh,
Treasure Island,
nice.
Reader's Digest.
What year is that book?
So this book, so it still has the 1987 printout.
Wow. That's cool.
I've kept it in such pristine condition and it smells like it is in perfect condition because this book, as you would know, is actually worth a lot of money.
That's awesome.
That's one of my beautiful old gems. And I know exactly where it is at all times because I've only ever read it once and it's by far one of my favorite books, but I'll never read it again because it's too valuable.
Yeah, I have all my books in storage right now.
That would be so sad because you wouldn't be able to just grab through and flick through them all because I've got this library at the moment and that's about it.
I mean, it's something, At least you can
And
see
they're
your
all,
books. There's something
that's
about
true.
putting your books away. It's just like, it is sad.
It is sad. And then when you've got them out on display, it's brilliant. And when you need to access them, it's great too because they're all occultic books. So every single one of those books, except for the very bottom shelf, are all occult, which means all of the stuff that you want to get back into. And speaking about that, what are your practices?
Well, this is, I do, okay. I consider myself pagan,
Yep.
and the deity that I work with, the goddess Hecate, and
Mm-hmm.
so I'm trying to get, I mean, she literally came to me in a dream and like called to me. And this was a few years ago, and I didn't get the message until like another year after that.
Yeah.
So I went on a hiking trip. We were hiking and we went to this, I don't know, it took like 2.5 hours. This was in California. When we got to the top, it's like a place that used to be a hotel, but it's just the
Mm-hmm.
roof of the hotel. And there's a bell that you ring on the top. When after we were done ringing it, it was already nightfall. On the way back, I looked to the floor and there were a set of keys on the floor. And keys are a big time symbol for Hecate, you know?
Mm-hmm. Unlock that door to unlock those secrets.
So basically, I picked the keys up and I'm very observant. Those keys were not there. It was like in the path we walked. And I was just like, I took that, you know, I was like, she's calling me. So I started doing more research and reading up. But I mean,
See, I'm not actually familiar with Hecate too much. Like, care to explain her for all who aren't familiar with her as well? Like, I work with multiple deities for a lot of my clients. I don't particularly have one myself, but I'd love to know your depictions and understandings.
so she's basically the goddess of like, they say of witches of the underworld. She's the keeper of keys at the crossroads, so like the three paths.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to her. I'm still new at this. I don't want to like speak and say something wrong.
Not at all, because your understanding is very different to somebody else's understanding, and everyone's understanding of the goddesses and the gods are each to their own. So
Yeah.
whatever you say is going to resonate with some and not resonate with others, but nobody is right or wrong.
But there's, so basically, you know, I don't, sometimes my beliefs are like that. She resides like within, like she is you.
Yeah.
So, because honestly, doing this, how can I put this? I basically look up to myself as a higher power. I don't believe in, you know,
No,
God.
I completely, as a gypsy, I completely understand that because we are accountable for everything we do. Everything we do comes from our own power and what we use to influence it.
Yeah, definitely. So I have those beliefs, you know, also. But I'm definitely like in tune like with the universe. I do believe in the universe is like giving us signs, and that
Mm-hmm.
signs are everywhere out there. You just have to be more,
Observant.
yeah, available for it. Which a lot of people are just kind of like walking in a daydream, zombie mode. And I hate,
Zombie mode, getting A to B.
yeah. And I do that too, but I'm trying to break free from that.
Well, being in a zombie mode sometimes, though, is all about survivability and just getting things done because some days you don't have to tune in because some days it's easy to tune out so that you can tune in better in a couple of days.
Yeah, it's true. But when you're unable to like snap out of it,
That's true. And then that's when going through like therapy and stuff like that and just sitting with yourself, shadow work and rituals helps you break out of those cycles too. And that's probably why you want to get back into it all so much.
it's definitely because lately I just feel like lately I've been in like a rut. Like I just feel like I've been giving myself to so many people and just emptying like parts of me. And I just feel like a shell at this point in
Just
time.
like the Queen of Cups when she's reversed, her vessel is completely empty because she's poured all of her water and all of her energy into other people's cups to keep them fully sustained, and then hers becomes empty and she can't look after herself emotionally or physically.
Yeah. Like on the physical level, I'm doing it. I'm going to the gym and whatnot. But like on an emotional level, I am very not okay right now. And I'm trying to, you know, reach.
And the fact that you could admit that is remarkable strength in itself, because being able to admit that is the first step to recovery.
Yeah, definitely. Which is why I've been sleeping so much these past few days for my days off. I'm just like, you know what?
Well,
I just need it. I need to
you
sleep.
do. Well, you're always as I say, you're always at gym, you're always working. You're probably burning yourself out without even realize you're burning out.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't go out. I don't do much other than that. So,
Yeah,
but I'm
and
okay.
it's the work itself would be absolutely exhausting.
It is. It very much is. By day 3 of work, I am just completely done. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to come home, crawl into
Play with
bed.
your cat and sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. I come home, I
That
greet the
cat.
cat.
Let me guess, they will probably go, "Oh, Mum's home," and do the full dance around you.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's
Oh,
awesome. It's awesome to come home to that, you know?
it's because you know you're loved as well. That's what I love about dogs. Dogs, they're always so happy to see you. But then again, I never leave without my dog. He pretty much follows me everywhere.
Yeah. But I'm sure if you left, he'd be just as happy to see you.
Oh, yeah, and he would probably be so upset if I left him behind as well. He'd be like, "Why has my dad left me?"
Oh no.
I remember leaving him at my friend Cheyenne's, and it was also when I learned that he loves her just as much as me. But it was the first time that I was walking down the street and I heard him screaming and crying for me. I'm like, oh no.
That's
I think I've given my dog separation anxiety.
shit.
But to be fair, I get it from him. He's very much like a little support animal for me. He helps keep me going.
It's good. That's awesome.
But with that, thank you so much for sharing space with me, because we're coming up to our hour. We can continue if you want to. If not, I'm going to let you go get yourself some more rest, let yourself relax, recover, recoup, spend some more time with your cats. And then I'm going to get to some work on the farm, because fortunately there was a storm the other day and one of my sheds is gone.
Oh wow.
All of the stuff is still where the shed was, but the shed's no longer standing.
Jeez. Okay, I'll let you get to that.
So there's a bit of a clean-up today, but it's been absolutely amazing sharing space with you, hearing your stories, hearing your recovery stories, hearing what it's like for you at work and everything that you go through with that, and hearing about your cats. I can't wait to share space with you again. We'll definitely have to do this sometime soon as the appointments become available again, because I am booked out for another couple months.
All right, well, thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
You're very welcome. It was lovely seeing you. Ciao for now and speak soon.
Bye.